Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Corp Breakroom podcast. Our overlords have given us just a moment of time free from working on the 5 projects that Corp is currently producing to come and speak to you about, I have no fucking clue, butt stuff, I guess. Skybolt?
It almost sounds redundant because aren't we the overlords?
Well, I mean, there's Kelly. I mean, he's really the real overlord. He's the secret overlord.
Yeah, I think of us sort of like the El Dorado movie where the two guys, I forget their names now. Miguel and Tivo? Tulio, that's it.
Miguel and Tulio.
Miguel and Tulio. A couple of gods.
Almighty,
and then,
almighty and powerful gods.
And then Kelly is either the chick or the evil wizard guy.
Considering that Kelly is slowly plotting to take us down and take our places, I'd say he's the evil wizard guy.
Yeah, I think so too. And so we'll have to, write a song about him, I guess.
Yeah. Because Kelly is just one big show off. No, so not digging too deep into it, but did you see Kelly's demos for his project?
No, I didn't.
Holy shit. Oh my god. Like, the next album that Kelly puts out under Corp is going to be stunning. I mean, it's leagues better than Verissimo. Verissimo. I can't wait to see how that develops once you get on it with the lyrics and and we see if we can get that special guest to add in a tiny bit.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I know for our other project too, the Wasteland Survival Guide, we still have Ditsy Do auditions open. So if you're hearing this, definitely you still have a chance to get those in for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we're still looking for our Ditsy Do. So pop in and say that and tell us what you tell us what you think in your best Ditsy-Do voice. We're also looking for artists, specifically artists who can draw backgrounds and props for one of our other programs, which we'll be putting out a small teaser for hopefully soon. Like, it depends on voice actresses, but it's something pretty different. It's not technically a part of our canon, but it technically is considered an AU story.
Okay.
Okay, so Skybolt went off on holiday because, which I don't understand, but that's because South Africans don't have Thanksgiving.
No, that would be, I guess, I guess, when was the day when you guys had the new government in, the 80s? I'm sure that's a holiday, right?
Oh, Freedom Day.
Freedom Day, there you go. When's that time of year?
Yeah. That is... I actually can't remember. I know it's sometime mid-year. Is it June 6th? No, June 6th is the Soweto riots.
Okay, that's kind of the
opposite. That's Youth Day. I cannot remember what the day... I can't actually remember what the day is. Unfortunately, see, Americans, you're lucky. You had a kick-ass movie to remind you when
certain
your
holidays are.
When certain holidays are. I mean, I don't think there's a Thanksgiving movie, but at least July 4th has Independence Day, the first one, not Resurgence, for obvious reasons. But
that's silly.
No.
No.
What was kind of funny is that having seen, because I mean, there's the thing that they could have had Will Smith if Will Smith didn't do Suicide Squad, but I think it might have actually been better for Will Smith to take to take Independence Day 2 than it would have been for him to take Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I know. It's I don't know. Will Smith makes a lot of dumb decisions when it comes to movies like that. He was the original Neo for The Matrix. The Wachowskis at the time were he was top of their list because, I don't know, they love Fresh Prince or whatever. And, and so it's just crazy now to think that he chose, what did he choose? Did he choose Independence Day over that? Or was some other dumb... No, it was Wild Wild West. That was it.
Was it Wild Wild West?
It chose Wild
God.
West over The Matrix, which became like the movie of the late 90s. It's like, that's the movie, at least in America, they used to sell all the new DVDs. You know, don't get VHS anymore, get DVD and check out The Matrix. That was the big marketing campaign.
Jesus. I mean, look, as a kid, like, okay, so Wild Wild West is actually one of my guilty pleasure movies.
That's okay.
Like Wild Wild West and Independence Day, like they're taking like Wild Wild West more so. They're bad movies, but I just sit down and I enjoy them so much. Like even the really, really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Which I know is probably a little. It's a little weird of me because I'm so harsh on so many other things that people like. Like, you know, I'm so harsh on things like the first 2 seasons of Ruby, where everyone else is like, dude, it's okay, just get over it, okay? It's not as bad as you're making it out to be. And then I sit down and I watch Independence Day and Wild Wild West, and like, I can enjoy this. And those 7 people are like, fuck you, James.
Yeah, it's I have movies like that for myself too, and I think a lot of them ties into nostalgia, depending on how old you are when you watched it, or some unsignificant event that tied into it for you. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has movies like that.
So how was your trip, by the way?
It was all right. Less dead family members than last time, so that's net positive in the grand scheme of things. But no, holidays are a little bit exhausting for me anyway, because I used to think of myself more extroverted, but I think years of freaking just engineering work, being stuck down in, machine rooms and stuff, I'm definitely more introvert. And it's just like the parties, and sometimes it's just too much noise. Like, I like just having those times to myself and just... Well, I'm way behind in projects, so that was most frustrating for me, is the entire trip I was just thinking about, like, all this stuff I have to do, all the stuff I want to do that I haven't had time to do because of either work or all this stupid real-life stuff, so it's like, so I'm so excited to get back into things.
Oh my god, I hate real-life stuff and work stuff. I mean, come on, why doesn't the universe understand that all we want to do is just sit and create our apocalyptic nuclear horses? Why can't we get paid for that? There should be a government. That's like a government job, right? Like a sanction.
Oh, I wish. I would absolutely write fan fictions for the government.
Oh my god! Wait, could you imagine government fan fictions? I'm pretty sure there already are /fics written for Obama and Biden.
Oh Jesus!
I mean, there's already all those memes popping up about Biden trying to prank Trump and Obama trying to get Biden to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, it's such a low energy meme. Oh man. Pathetic.
I know, but it makes me chuckle every time. It really does.
It does chuckle because it goes back to the original meme, the one that wasn't forced, which is Sad Joe looking out the window, and that was great because it made him look like a childlike wonder.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but there've been some decent ones just for how silly they are.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's silly. And
and that's about as close as we'll ever come to discussing politics.
Yeah, it's just the meme level, and even if you have first meme president, it's just it's messy business. So, so Will Smith, he definitely. I feel like then in the 2000s, he went away from everything and tried to pick all these super serious artsy movies to try to like regain his reputation. And then he did Suicide Squad, so all that's out the window. So, yeah.
Will Smith is odd because, like, when I first think of him, I think of action star, I think of, smart quips and comedy. But then every now and then, it's sort of, you sort of get this shocking reminder that, oh, right, Will Smith can do hardcore drama too. Like, really fucking well.
Yeah, that Focus movie was actually all right. I don't think anyone has ever seen it, but, like, I saw it and it was all right.
I haven't seen Focus. I want to see Concussion, though.
Yeah, no, I wanted to see it just for the interesting, like, story behind it. Because it seems so retarded that, like, You mean, running into, like, people hundreds of times a day isn't going to give you a little bit of brain damage? It's like, no duh. This is like the EU funding a study to prove
Right.
that water satisfies thirst. It's like, fucking duh. But anyway,
Right.
I guess that was a big revolutionary thing that the scientists proved that it gives you brain damage to run into people with a football helmet. So...
Yeah. Like, there's some, like, I still cry like a bitch when I watch The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, yeah, that was a sad movie. Oh, my gosh.
That was a really, really sad movie. That, £7. And I know it gets all the hate, so I'm going to say the first 90% of I Am Legend.
Oh, yeah, no, I enjoyed that movie, too. I just, I definitely didn't like the ending.
Everything except for the ending, because what was really great about that movie was just was how little dialogue that there was, especially in those beginning minutes. Like there's the old writer's motto of show don't tell, and it's just nice to see a movie to see. I like seeing when movies can do that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of filmmakers are not good at that, ironically, because film is a visual medium, so it's like you want to show more than you tell. That's the effective way of turning a book into a movie, is being well equipped to turn the story into visuals, and so you're still getting the breadth of the story, but not in just plain dialogue. Like, I've actually been rewatching all the Harry Potter movies, because over Thanksgiving, we watched the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh shit! I still need to see that.
That was actually really good. I thought that was it was fun.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see more of the Wizarding World, and also, can I just bring this up because it's been on my mind? Okay. Why the fuck haven't they made a full-on RPG set in that universe?
That's a good question.
Seriously, that would be... it's weird because, I mean, EA, I think, still owns the license to the Harry Potter games.
Oh, that's the problem.
They love shit that makes them money, and I mean, that would make them so much money. Even if it was developed, or even if it was published, by under EA, I would still buy the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come eventually. I mean, now they've got, at least in America, they built a new Harry Potter something Wizarding World in Universal, and there's probably going to be one in the California Universal. It's just like, it's growing exponentially now that J.K. Rowling, she's like, yeah, maybe I'll just keep feeding into my one super franchise. She's going to be the new George Lucas, which could be good or bad depending on, what path she follows. But I'm excited just in the sense that, the entirety of the Harry Potter movies just focused on this one section of the Wizarding World in England and the Ministry of Magic and all that, or UK, whatever. And so now it's like it's opening things up, and you've got the American Wizarding World, and then I hear the website has like the Australian, and the whole of everything. So it should be interesting.
Speaking of which, so we know that they want that Fantastic Beasts is what I think they said it's like something crazy, like a 5-part series that they want to do for it.
That's what I've heard, is that it's going to be like 5 movies.
And so I want to discuss something, and unfortunately, I'm going to get a little bit salty, but I'm going to try and be academic about it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so Marvel and Christopher Nolan. Specifically, Marvel and Christopher Nolan have ruined long-term film franchises. For the industry as a whole, I'd say that they've ruined long-term film franchises, if not film and film music, for a very long period of time. And I'm going to explain. Why. Okay. Okay. So first off, let me just bitch about Hans Zimmer for a moment.
Okay, go
because
for it. We need a crossover from the last episode.
Okay, so I was playing Obsidian's new game Tyranny. By the way, if you're an RPG fan, play that shit. It's fucking amazing. You play as medieval Judge Dredd for the bad guys. It's fucking awesome, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
The opening music is fucking fantastic, except for the fact that every second note is a boom. And I'm getting really, really sick of hearing that in music. So that's my bitching at Hans Zimmer. But so you'll notice that so many movies got so much, and TV shows as well, got so much darker after The Dark Knight came out. And this is not me bitching about The Dark Knight, because I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time, and still the best superhero movie of all time. But the problem is that so many filmmakers have now tried to emulate Christopher Nolan.
Like
and
Zack
it's the same
Snyder.
that's happened. Exactly. And they're just being unsuccessful.
Like Zack Snyder.
Like Zack Snyder. Exactly, like Zack Snyder. But it's this. But then if you look at Marvel did the cinematic universe, and as much as we've bitched, as much as people in general bitch about DC doing their cinematic, trying to do their own cinematic universe and failing, we're also overlooking the fact that we're probably going that's what they're doing with Star Wars now, and it's what they're doing with fucking. It's what they're doing. They're going to do it with the Harry Potter franchise. They're going to do it with the Harry Potter franchise. I bet. Like, I know that they're doing a long-running series with Jurassic World now, but I fucking bet you they're going to do it there. And now every single movie, like, to find movies that just want to do one on its own or do like 3 movies and then stop is going to become harder and harder to do over the next few years, and it's fucking Marvel's fault. Like, I love the Marvel cinematic. Well, I love the earlier Marvel cinematic universe stuff, and I respect what they did because it changed a lot. But everyone's trying to do it now, and I mean, even us, we didn't intend for it to happen. But every story, but it basically happened accidentally with us as well.
Yeah, everything's connected.
Yeah, exactly, and that was less of us having a concerted effort to do it, and more just we figured if we're writing separate stories for the same studio, we may as well have them be canon to each other.
Yeah, it was like the least amount we could do.
But it's now like it's just becoming a thing now, and no, you won't. We're not doing it in a way that you'll see. You know, so aside from potentially, possibly, maybe, if we're lucky, you'll see crossovers between our work, but mostly no. You'll see small references and hints. That's really about it. So I don't know, Skyball. If you have,
I see what you mean. It's sort of like the elevation of the old trilogy problem, where everyone used to complain that every movie had to become a trilogy, and in some ways that was kind of true. It's like a lot of films started lending themselves to that format. So then, even if you see a great first movie, it feels like just a first movie, like an Act 1 of 3 or whatever. I think yeah.
With a trilogy, it works because then you're still structuring. There's still a structure to your series because it still falls into the 3-act structure.
Exactly.
You know, A New Hope is always used when teaching script writers what the 3-act structure is, and in the same way, when you're talking about writing for a series, the Star Wars original trilogy is also once again used to teach you the 3-act structure: the call to action, the challenges across, and then the final victory. Like, trilogies work in that regard, but these franchise series don't.
Yeah, they're very open-ended, and definitely if you don't have someone smart like Kevin Feige to run things properly, it can go down fast. Like, I already like J.J. Abrams, you know, he sort of reconnected or rebooted the Star Wars universe in a soft sort of way with Episode 7, but Disney hasn't proven that they don't have like a master storyteller like a Pablo Hidalgo or like a Dave Filoni running the cinematic universe yet. That's why I'm really hoping for the best for Rogue One and for Episode 8, but I haven't seen either movie yet, and I'm going to go in just cautiously optimistic like Episode 7, and then hope that I maintain my buzz through the movie instead of lose it over time like Episode 7. So...
Exactly, like... Because they've got Kathleen Kennedy running the Star Wars universe,
oh,
so I'm
that's
willing
right.
to trust.
Yeah,
I'm willing to trust her.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes. I'm trustworthy to a point, but it's like you were saying, Marvel is a sort of universe that's set up for this kind of like massive world building, and sort of Star Wars is too. And it just again, as long as they get the right individual directors to do it right, I think it can be really well done. And then for everyone else, it's like, sci-fi especially such a hazard. In movies and television, probably only like all the one-off sci-fi movies will be little like single production kind of things from now on, like The Arrival or things like that. And I hated The Arrival, but it's like that's the most recent example.
Yeah.
And
like,
and then everything's just gonna get bigger.
Which is just, I mean, in some ways it's all right, but in other ways it's just, when it's not planned and when it's not worked out properly, and if it's not something that you know will fit with what you're doing, then it's a problem. Like, it fits with Fallout, for example, because Fallout is such a gigantic world, and you've got that 200 to 250 years worth of time that you can play with. And you know, I'd love to see more Fallout stories. Like, so, you know, what about a story that I would love to see, and that I think, like, I read the epilogue to Project Horizons. I haven't properly read it. I read the last few chapters, and I read the epilogue, and I read the first few chapters. But in the epilogue, they had an idea that they touched on that I think would work really well for a much stronger story. I'm not saying that Horizons is a bad story, but I'm
Here
saying
come the
that
hate comments.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, but you know, so it sort of sparked in the idea, and if there is a spin-off story like this, I would love you guys to just link it in the comments section. If not, then hey, maybe we'll do one of our own. Of the idea of, say, 200 years post Sunshine and Rainbows, after Fallout Equestria, where the world's rebuilt now and so on, but to the point where, because record keeping during the time of Little Pip was really, really shitty. So the idea being that the story of Little Pip is mostly now faded out of history. It's to the point where no one can ever really prove that Pip and her friends ever existed. It's more like it's a fable, it's a myth. Yeah, exactly. And how, but say you take one character, so you take Ditsy Doo, since she's immortal, and you then tell it through her perspective of now and just as a one shot, like a short story of Ditsy Doo living in a world where all of her friends and so on, they've become legend, and the world's rebuilt and moved on, forgotten about them, and it means nothing to them. How do you, like, that could be quite an interesting story.
It is. It's like a super post-futurist kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, because, to be honest, I'd love to see what the world, like, I'd love to see someone envision a world, or like, just create
the
a
rebuilding.
world.
Yeah, like, how long does the New Candlelight Republic stand? Is there any successful societies besides that? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the New Candlelight Republic, so in another series that I was planning out that had to be put on hiatus, but will be coming eventually from some source or another. Eventually. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'll be there in 2 weeks. I wanted to explore that idea because that one's set 4 years after Little Pip, with the idea of the world trying to rebuild. Because there's because Fallout Equestria does that weird thing where the story of Little Pip ends and then it jumps 10 years later.
Yeah, for that afterword or epilogue or whatever.
For that afterward.
Yeah.
So that K-Cat can add in the bit about using the elements of harmony to clean out the radiation from the wasteland.
Sort of like
she forgot to.
Yeah.
Well, because she forgot. No, because she forgot to resolve it in the actual story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If I could make one big criticism of Fallout Equestria, it's the fact that got resolved off screen, and it just annoys me because I would argue that clearing the wasteland and using the elements of harmony to clear the wasteland of radiation is a much more important and pressing issue than clearing the clouds so that the wastelands can see the sun, and also destroying the best source of food and farming that they have available to them, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, wouldn't that have caused like a Pegasus genocide?
Well, not just a Pegasus genocide, like they could have taken advantage of that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize that they'd done that until I was listening to another podcast where Captain Horse pointed it out. And it was like, oh.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, they could have just set up, like, a grid system where, like, almost like a chessboard, where, like, every other tile is a cloud layer, and that's, like, a Pegasi society, and then below that is, like, a really swampy, wet society of rain or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, you have all these big-ass weather control towers. You got to do something cool with them besides just be, plugged in as a permanent, like, fuse circuit.
But what could be interesting, because you've got the New Canon Republic stepping up, but it has so many issues to overcome in that state.
I don't think it lasts 50 years, honestly.
Well, yeah, I'm struggling to believe that it lasted the 10 years that K-Cat said it did. I mean, I feel sorry for Gord because apparently she stepped down as president because in the thing they said, no, we are our second president now.
God damn.
No, God damn it. But the other problem is, but the other thing is that so first off, so you've got the New Canon Republic, and first off, the big thing is that it's being run by griffins, and now ponies at this point, with a total lack of friendship, and after the war with the zebras, ponies are racist motherfuckers.
Yeah, and griffins are assholes, so that would be very very quickly.
And griffins are naturally assholes. So first, and because they're introducing a totally different set of government, because the griffins go by our version of government. They have a president, but they also have a council. They have an arbiter. So it's not our version, but it's closer.
Yeah, and ponies they prefer their eternal freaking monarchies. So
exactly. So basically, what's happening is the reverse of what happened to America, where if America invaded England, well, that would be this. Replace the monarchy, we will replace your monarchy. It confuses us.
That's yeah, there was only one time they tried that. That was in the Revolution. One of our famous naval people, John Paul Jones. He tried invading, I think, one of the coasts of Scotland, but he sacked the town and it didn't work out. It would be a very long-standing siege. We'd really have to pull in French forces and the Russians. There's some actually... Anyway.
But aside, that's not the only problem that the Griffins are facing, because also Equestria has essentially become... It's not a nation anymore because it's post-apocalyptic. It's a wasteland. It's just a whole bunch of different settlements now. And so trying to... I mean, Gord would have... And with no real form of long-range communication aside from DJ Pony's radio, essentially they would have had to go to every single village and town and so on and settlement and be like, okay, cool, we're your new overlords now. I mean, how do you think the ponies would have taken that? I mean, establishing the new Canterlot Republic, really, I don't think it would have taken 10 years. I think it would have been a lot longer. There would have been a lot of resistance.
Oh yeah,
from towns like calling for independence. Like that's the story that I'm going to work on later for East Corp and so on, which I've mentioned before in the thing, and which is the idea of the town of one of these towns sort of trying to remain independent despite the growing despite the growing power of the NCR, because it is because canonically,
I gotta say,
it has to grow in power.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like 1800s America, where basically you'd have to manage things like a federal, grand republic, and then all the other are subordinate states, basically.
Yeah, like I don't see the NCR acting as a country; it acts as a. It doesn't really act as a country. It would act more like the USA.
And also, it wouldn't be run by frickin' griffins for too long. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, like I bet that you'd have Gord stepping down, and what they don't, and that would probably be taken over by a pony.
Yeah.
But they'd never have a zebra as president.
Oh no, no way. They're the
No
ones that
one would
killed the
ever
world, man. No,
I
honestly,
bet he was born. He was born in Zebraca, not Equestria.
well, it's like the zebra thing's one thing. The other thing was the Fluttershy issue. I still think, I don't know, one of the first acts of the New Canon Republic really should have been to execute her, because it's like, okay, come on now, this was really, really dumb. Like, yeah, you served some time, like, you know, watching things and some kind of whatever.
She served 200 years in prison.
But at the same time, you're basically directly responsible for several 100 million deaths, so we can't really trust you to make decisions anymore.
I mean, fucking friggin' smaller time serial killers at, like, what, you kill 3 people and rape someone, and then you get, what, 2-3 life sentences or so on. That's longer than what Fluttershy served, and she was responsible for the death of the world.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, when you reach the point of being a world leader, which is basically what she was at the point, one, like, you know, top 10 places in government, you can't make stupid decisions like, oh, this way we can all be friends and have freaking, you know, I feel like it's almost like, you know, in theory, that's one of the clashing ideas of Fallout Equestria, trying to merge these two franchises. But at the same time, it's only, you know, uncompromising because of that specific character, and that's when you, that freaking hang her. So,
well, one of the
oh no,
things
wait,
she's
she's Pegasus. Guillotine.
One of the things you do have to admit is that was accurate to Fluttershy's character. If the character was in that situation, that's exactly, like, I like to believe, like, that one of the things I really enjoyed about Fallout Equestria is the fact that I felt that everything that the characters did in the story is exactly what they would have done. I felt it was very accurate to them.
No, I agree. That's one of the more that's why it was so successful as a story.
Oh, also, so now, just a reminder, I haven't read Project Horizons, but I was chatting with Mohan.
Okay.
And
he was cover to cover?
Yeah, no, not cover to cover. He got to, like, 65 and then stopped.
Okay.
He loves the story and he loves Blackjack, but he just couldn't continue. He's trying now. He's trying now to get through it again.
Did he have to restart?
But anyway, no. He's just going to pick up from, like, a few chapters behind where you're there.
I was going to say, that sounds like a lot of retreading.
Well, I mean, he was talking about, he was saying that, because you know how Blackjack is descended down from Twilight.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's fine.
I'd assumed that Twilight had hooked up with some random dude, like, just random stress relief.
Yeah.
Because Ministry made Twilight actually seemed like someone who'd do that. Like, she was this really stressed out, kind of angry character. It seemed like that seemed in character for her. But then it's like, no. She apparently it was a whole romance arc with Big Mac, which also
really.
Okay. Yeah, apparently it's written really well if you feel for the characters, and I trust Mohan on that.
Okay.
But the part that confuses me, and if so, once again, if anyone here can correct me on this.
Doesn't he die like 3 years before the war?
No, he doesn't die before the war. He dies during the war. But here's the thing, is that the way they say it is that Twilight pretends to be one of her own employees and then gets into a relationship with him. But yet he dies before the ministries are created. Twilight doesn't have any employees before he dies.
And also, that's kind of rape, impersonating someone to get a guy in bed with you.
But the whole thing is that just he goes into the war, but he saves himself. He saves Celestia, who is giving a speech in her capacity as a world leader, as the leader of Equestria, and he takes a bullet for her. And then it's only after the Little Horn massacre that she steps down.
Yeah.
Which I do believe was after that. And then it's like.
And I'm pretty sure horse gestation is only like 11 months. It's not like several years. So.
Yeah. And the fact that and the ministries are only formed under Luna's Republic.
Yeah.
Under Luna's leadership. So that's a really, really big plot hole. That's a gigantic plot hole.
Yeah.
Because that, which is a bit unfortunate. Like I said, I'm not saying that it's a badly written story. Well, that specific arc, Mohan says it's written really well, but how do you miss that?
Yeah, that's what I always worry about whenever I'm writing something, is like screwing up some kind of time frame one way or another. I'm like, oh, don't say it any specific years.
Well, could you imagine if Project Horizons or Heroes or Pink Eyes had been declared canon, and we had to try and navigate through all of those to make sure that we stayed?
No, I couldn't do it. I just have to say that we're not strictly canon then, or like take the Disney Star Wars approach of like, that's Legends now? I don't know. Oh, God. It's complicated.
It's a good thing that K-Cat has, because he only made one story canon.
I tell you the truth, that's why... Okay.
Which was the sex scene, which that became canon.
Oh, yeah. Which is... Well, didn't she write that too? So it's just like, you know...
No, she didn't. It was another writer.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah. What was it, 30.5 or something? And yeah, no, another writer wrote it, and K-Cat loved it so much that she canonized it.
Sweet. Because it's inconsequential, right? Ultimately. But, yeah, no, it's just... it's too tricky to navigate around. That's why I rely so much on the wiki, honestly. Like, that comes in very, very handy when I'm trying to cross-reference something.
Yes, especially when I'm trying to do a stable. So when I'm trying to come up with a new stable, then I go to the stable wiki, like, okay, has the stable been used yet?
Yeah.
Like, I know technically I'm not canon to any of these other stables, so it's okay if I overlap with them, but I try to avoid overlap.
Yeah, I try to also, yeah. Just so there doesn't have to be separate articles if someone ever made articles on my story properly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, never mind. Oh, so speaking of, with characters that use Little Pip, so I started reading this one fan fiction. It's very, very clop heavy, and I'm not a fan of that. But the story... Like, I'm talking Polion, Griffin, like, it's very descriptive, and I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Okay.
I understand that other people enjoy it, and that's okay for them, but I don't. But I've tried to read it because the story idea is really cool.
Okay.
Essentially, it's about these two miscreants, or guns for hire, essentially, who are hired by the Enclave to assassinate Little Pip.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting idea for a story. These two guns for hire trying to assassinate Little Pip, and getting into a whole bunch of trouble on the way. Only problem is that so far it's a pretty decent story. But I would kind of hope that I kind of wish that the characters were a bit more incompetent.
What? What does that mean? That they're too good at their jobs?
Well, no, it's not that they're too good at their jobs, but they are competent. Like, if you think about, I don't want to specifically say go and copy these, but I'd love to see someone do it almost in a Tom and Jerry Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote sort of, like, not to a totally comedic extent, but you know how Fallout treads that line of dark humor and satire.
I'd almost say like a Team Rocket like approach. They keep getting close to Pikachu. Exactly. He's in their hands, and then slips away. It's like, how many other Pikachus could they have captured in this time?
And it'd be really nice to do it in that could work really nicely in a sort of way of just following Little Pip on her adventures, which actually, so that might overlap with another story idea that I had, which I started writing, but I couldn't get to it. So are you familiar with the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead?
I'm not.
Okay, so for you and for everyone, for the audience, so the idea is that, so you are all, of course, familiar with the play Hamlet.
Yes.
Okay, so in Hamlet, there are two characters. They appear for two scenes. Once at the beginning and another time about 3/4 of the way through, I think. Named Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. That is the only time they are on stage with Hamlet while the main events are going on. So the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is an absurdist play which takes place entirely from their perspective in the background of Hamlet.
Really? Interesting.
So because they're only on screen for 2 plot points of Hamlet, the entirety of the play just seems like, and the story just seems like an absurd, confusing mess from their perspective.
Interesting. I like that. That's sort of like the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, like transformative work.
Yeah. And it's been parodied and copied a whole bunch of times. Like they did one for Star Wars, but I really wanted to do one for Fallout Equestria because back when we were working at Stabletech, Hidecore TK created he created these two characters, Chain Slash and Burn Trauma, who would be these raiders that appeared in the backgrounds of every Raider episode, and even some of the Slaver episodes. And I remember even writing some lines for them in the scripts. And they weren't major characters at all, not even slightly. But they'd just be these reoccurring raiders who, from our perspective, they had their own story going on of them just constantly joining new raider groups, trying to find a group to join. But the problem is, every time they find a new group to join, Little Pip and her friends comes and kills them all.
It would have been. They were basically great for like visual background, like obviously in a scene when you cut from Little Pip to a scene of the raiders that they're sneaking around, you got to have the raiders talking about something. So then they became a fun, recurring characters you can fit dialogue to.
Yeah, it just became recurring jokes, and then we were going to have them reappear in the battle the battle for New Appaloosa. We were going to have them just in the background. They weren't going to say anything, but in the background. You were going to see them fighting, fighting on Little Pip's side, fighting for the good guys, with almost as a if you can't beat them, join them type thing. And once again, not taking up any screen time, not changing the story, just in the background. But so then what I kind of realized was it would be really cool to do a story, an absurdist style story, because if you think about it, Fallout Equestria, if you are only on screen for 3 plot points of that, the entire story would make no sense to you. It would be this complete absurd mess.
No, it's like it's just a extra crazy time in the wasteland.
Yeah. So I wanted to try write a story, and I'm still going to eventually. I want to try and write one in 2017 of 2 raiders, Chain Slash and Burn Trauma Are Dead, sort of going. They're traveling through the wasteland. And every now and then they bump into Little Pip and have their raider gang killed. And they're only picking up the pieces of what the story is, and the whole thing just seems like a total mess to them. And from their perspective, Little Pip is the bad guy because she keeps destroying their homes.
Nice.
I think it could be quite a nice story, but also it doesn't help that absurdist stories they get very mixed reactions from audiences.
Yeah.
But so that was also a concern at the time of writing. Was it's a lot of effort for something that is guaranteed that at least half of your audience is going to hate.
I'm just glad, honestly, now that we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of the East Corp productions, is that we got the remastering of Terminal Secrets Episode 1 released recently.
Oh, yes. Shit, that I completely
We should probably talk about that.
How did I forget to talk about the remaster of my own fucking production?
Yeah, so now that we have basically a leading audio engineer for it being James Kelly, and he did a great job with not only the general mixing of the dialogue, but the special effects I thought were very, next level.
Yeah. Like, he did a really, really solid job. Of course, and which is a good thing, because one of my biggest, I'd say my biggest regret in Terminal Secrets is that the original release of the first episode, with the poor sound editing, basically acted as a really, really thick barrier to entry for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who wanted to listen to it but couldn't. And I mean, we even have a comment on the thing of exactly someone like that who tried to watch episode 1, couldn't, tried to watch episode 2, and liked it but didn't understand the context of what was happening.
The only good thing about all those comments was the sort of meta reaction of, this is giving me a headache. I want to enjoy it, but it's actually giving me a headache.
That was fucking fantastic.
That's so meta. Oh.
So we're very glad to have this remaster done now.
I was super happy. I mean, I was able to get through the original okay, but for me, mainly, it was just, like, toying with the volume dial, so then I turned it up for one character, and then frickin' Hypnerdunk comes in and just screams over you, and you're like, oh god, shut up, woman! But, no, the new one was great. I actually listened to that on the road, which was very extra special.
Oh, that was nice. It's weird. It's really weird for me listening to my own podcasts.
Oh,
I mean, listening to my own audio dramas.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that.
I honestly can't tell because I listen to the demos and the early drafts of Confessions so often looking for, like, mistakes and everything that I get, like, totally desensitized to it.
I don't know. I always have a small, like, smile on my face, especially every time I hear my own voice popping up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's probably lost a bit of its luster with you because your voice pops up every few minutes, usually with a monologue.
I can see for you, though, because you're getting so much else on top of it. Like, you know, it's definitely more of an actual radio play proper than just more of an audiobook, which is what mine is, dramatized audiobook.
Yeah, Confessions is basically a dramatized audiobook. A great one, but definitely, like, Terminal Secrets is full-on audio drama with the sound effects and so on. And, you know, we'll have, like Kelly, I'm so glad that Kelly kept in the one segment of our episode 1 where Dr. Needle's just in her lab, just working. I think it's like a 15 to 20 second segment of just sound effects.
Oh, I agree. Of just coffee and stuff. That was good.
Just like, yeah, she's making her coffee. She's doing some stuff with some test tubes. She's typing. You've got Get Happy playing in the background. And it's just like, and you'll find that Terminal Secrets there'll be a lot more of those starting from episode 4. Starting from episode 4, there'll be a lot more moments like that where the story just sort of sits. I figure the one thing that I figure is that we've been a bit too convenient with Butterfly going into going into an audio recording, and it's like, oh, cool, this is exactly like this is the exact plot relevant piece of information that I need.
Yeah, like, I leave some of that to the computer though. It's okay. People understand that. More importantly, I think, is especially in episode 3, there are some scenes where sound effects matter. You got to pay attention to what you're hearing because it may or may not give you a hint of what's to come.
Oh yes, the conversation scene and the whiskey, and that's all I can say about it.
That's gonna be good. I can't wait to see that. Hear that.
That's a fantastic example. What I really want to see is the continued interaction of Butterfly and Blueball. Sorry, I mean Blueball.
I am looking forward to that too.
Especially because I kind of messed with your dialogue for Butterfly.
Yeah,
you gave Butterfly all the girly. You gave Butterfly all the girly remarks and Blueball all the manly remarks, and I went into the script and I switched them around. So you have Blueball girling out over. Just in his deep manly voice, Matt girling out about 2 ponies falling in love and Butterfly in the background, like, oh my god, Blueball, shut up.
It's definitely a complex story. I think it's one everyone should listen to probably twice to really get everything out of, because there's going to be a lot of subtleties in there. And we'll talk about it on the podcast too when we get to it.
Yeah, we're trying to get we're really trying to get episode 3 out by the end of the year. So that'll be our Christmas present to you. We're really hauling ass to try and get it.
Same with Confessions 5. I'm doing as much as I can. God. And Terminal Secrets 2, we could probably re-release. I'm not sure if you're doing much else, like, remastering on that, or...
No, Terminal Secrets 2 won't get a remaster, it's just going to get... So Terminal Secrets 2 is going to be uploaded in conjunction with the podcast, although you'll be doing the podcast upload yourself on your end, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm so used to uploading the podcast myself. Okay, so Terminal Secrets is going to be going up tomorrow morning. That's Tuesday. Terminal Secrets episode 2 will be returning to the East Corp channel, and then we're also at which point all of our content that that was on the Stable Tech channel will officially be on the East Corp channel, and we're going to start. We'll start looking at taking down our work from the Stable Tech channel. So this will be the only place you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. It's it definitely I saved all the comments anyway from mine, so we have them in memory.
Yeah, I've saved mine as well. We left them up there so that because if we left and ripped off all of our videos at once, it would just be. We didn't want the transition to look ugly. We want them to have, but they've had about a month and a half now to sort of get back up on their feet.
Yeah, with all the new videos they posted in that month.
Salt. That is a lot of salt.
I had to get in one little dig, but yeah, no, we have a lot in the making, and like I said, episode 5. It's so close. I hopefully, at the very latest, if we don't get it up by Christmas, if that ends up being Terminal Secrets 3, I'm hoping to have it up on the anniversary of the original release of episode 2, which was January 8th. Because it was the same problem for me back then, which is holidays are freaking busy for me. I don't have a lot of free time really between like October and New Year's. So hopefully it should be up by January 8th at the very latest.
Trying to release something in a holiday is a freaking nightmare. Like, because the problem is that you can basically, unless you've got someone like James Kelly, you can basically just write off December.
Yeah.
For your production time, like, such little work gets done in December.
We used to do that with Stable Tech too, which is ironic because our most successful production was purely done in December with the Nuclear Winter Wonderland. But it's like, except for that and me and Tyler just being, junkies, that was when I was graduating too. I was finishing university that month, but somehow we got that shit out there. So, it was a good time.
I was finishing high school when that came out.
Yeah, long time ago. What is that, 3 years ago now? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's funny. So because I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, but I took a 2-year gap before starting university. And so I would have if I'd started university coming straight out of high school, I would have been in third year now. The third years for this year graduated and left yesterday.
Ah, okay.
So if I had stayed, if I'd gone straight into university, I would have I would have graduated from film school and be out there all on my lonesome, trying desperately to find a job in the film industry as a writer and an animator in the South African film industry.
Which is already a bit limiting in terms of global production.
Just a little bit, but that's what I love about these cloud-based studios that like East Corp and Pabs and Overmare Studios and all the others, is that we don't need to be necessarily right next to each other to
No, exactly. Really, I mean, it's very much old media. It's like you don't really need to do it that way anymore unless you're doing some major, massive film production where you have to have, cameras and all these organized groups. But even then, they have separate units. Like they'll have a London unit and a Toronto unit for certain filming with certain characters, and then they just, put their freaking lead actors on a first-class flight back and forth between the locations.
Yeah, which is just expensive as all balls. I mean, like, sometimes it's helpful, so... But
I think as technology keeps, like, creating a unified sort of online marketplace. I mean, already it's pretty maxed out, but it's like, as that becomes more like centerfold in like production, I think a lot of things will change.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have we been going for? About 45 minutes?
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Alrighty then, what is up on the next topic? Oh, okay, so hang on. I'm late to the party. I'm so late to the party on this. Like, I think I'm like 4 years behind in this, but I am playing The Last of Us for the first time.
Oh, nice.
So what happened was a friend of mine pitched up for a party over the weekend, and he brought his PlayStation 4, and he had the PlayStation 4 version of The Last of Us. And he said, James, how is what did you think of The Last of Us? I actually haven't played it yet. And he's like, dude. No, okay, I need to talk to you about this game. Because he's played it several times, obviously, since it came out, but he was like, dude, I need to talk to someone new about this game. Because he'd had the conversation with all of his other friends already, like at least a dozen times. So he leaves his PlayStation 4 at my house.
Nice.
Like he just fucked off without it. He didn't even. I didn't ask about it. He was like, no, I'm leaving my PlayStation 4 at the house. We have class together again on Wednesday for our intro to second year. Just fucking finish the game and get back to me and bring it back. Like, you're trusting me with this? Yes, I want to talk about the game. So that was I think that was probably the biggest hype built around it for me. So I've been playing through that, and it is. I'm not gonna lie, it is living up to the hype.
All right, that's good. I actually own it on PS3, and I've never actually played it.
Really?
Which is really sad. I got this PS3 like value pack, which had the game and one remote and the system and all that, and I never actually turned it on or like really made use of it. It's just really sad looking back, but it's like, I don't know. I never had the desire. I was already kind of falling out of games at that point in like a proper sense. Like, I really don't consider myself a gamer. I just have some games I enjoy, and then I follow the culture as it's culturally relevant to me in terms of the entertainment overarching. But it's like, I don't go out like, once a month and see what the next AAA title is, because I suck at playing video games. So it's like, I stick to those franchises that I really, really love, and then, spectate on everything else.
Well, I mean, it's a really solid game, very emotional.
I've heard.
I was very surprised that the lead character had a southern accent. Like that, I did not expect that.
Yeah, those are usually villains in American media.
Right.
Oh, it's a southerner. They must be some kind of redneck or disturbance or whatever. Not disturbance. What was that dang franchise?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Deliverance.
Even
gonna squeal like a pig is so
Even the intelligent ones are usually villains, like fucking the director in Red vs. Blue.
Yeah, they still end up being the villain. So,
and
then The Walking Dead, which honestly I kind of laughed at too, in the season 4 or 5 arc where they had the frickin' what's his name with the mullet, and he had the secret to the zombie cure or whatever, and immediately I'm like, no one with a mullet knows the zombie cure.
Yes!
And I was frickin' right, because no actual smart person wears a mullet. It's like, you can have a southern accent and be an intelligent person. But a mullet is a choice.
But he's still kind of smart, and he's still really well spoken, and it's just this weird. Like, I don't want to be rude to Southerners, like, I don't. But it is, like, from the way they're depicted in television alone, it's not often that you hear them speaking so well. And once again, I'm trying not to be rude.
No, I mean, you can tell it's written by, either hipsters from Los Angeles or upper crust, New Yorker types. It's so frustrating. And again, that's what I love about sort of new media that's growing as it is, because California has so many damn laws now. They drove so much of the film industry out of state. And so places like Atlanta have major media hubs now. Like, Atlanta is where, like, most Adult Swim shows are centered now, because they got their big William Street studio there. And then there's film locations that are just super cheap, like Toronto or other places, and South Africa. And it's like,
Yes.
So whatever breaks a
American
little bit of that chain, I can respect.
The amount of American productions that happen in South Africa, like South Africa is now, Johannesburg is now becoming the new Vancouver.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, in the same way, like Vancouver is constantly used to other films. Like there was this one joke, I can't remember what film it was, a joke in a film where a character says, "What's your job?" "Oh, my job is making Vancouver look like American City."
It's such a perfect quote. It's like, what
exactly
bothers me too is like when you are American or you're somewhat cultured and know what cities actually look like, is whenever they show Washington, D.C., and they're like, no, the only building in Washington, D.C. that has more than 10 stories is the Washington Monument, and it doesn't really count because it's a freaking, penis. So that's the first thing, budding filmmakers, look at pictures of the city you're trying to copy before finding a city to take pictures of to copy it.
Exactly. Another interesting thing we learned. So in Johannesburg, the Nelson Mandela Bridge, which is it's a really important part of the city and so on.
Can I ask a somewhat politically incorrect question? Is that like
yes?
Martin Luther King Jr., where every other thing is named MLK Jr. Street, or like Nelson Mandela Boulevard?
No. Yes, there's a lot of shit named after Mandela, but it's not quite as prevalent.
Okay.
It's mostly foundations and things like that.
Because that's literally like a meme here, is that there's like, like certain streets named after Martin Luther King happen to be very, very violent, very ironically. And so, anyway.
No, but so Nelson Mandela Bridge, part of the way it was designed, which we'd learned in producing lectures, was so that was to help American companies and filmmakers shoot Johannesburg in a way that it looks like an American city.
I love it,
and it's true. There are like South African filmmakers. There are methods of shooting Johannesburg so that it looks like a downtown American city.
That's great.
Because it gets used that often. Cape Town's different. Cape Town, you have to shoot as Cape Town. But then again, so many other things get shot in Cape Town, because fucking that Michael Bay pirate show, Black Sails, was done in Cape Town. Pirates of the Caribbean had shots a bunch of shit in Cape Town as well. A lot of pirate shows, and also the Dark Tower series is being shot in Cape Town.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Also, I want to take a second to bitch about the Michael Bay pirate series. Yes, I know he's just the producer, but I need to bitch about this.
Do it.
Great show, because it's basically the whole show is it's a prologue to Treasure Island.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, it's all about Captain Flint getting the treasure, and it's good. It has some really solid moments, and they interweave with a lot of the other pirates. But here's one of the, and it's a small problem, but it annoys me. So Anne Bonny is one of the characters, and she has a fucking English accent.
Oh, really?
Anne Bonny was Irish.
That's
okay.
Interesting.
Why would you... Also, besides, Irish accents are probably some of the sexiest and most interesting accents out there. Why would you avoid going for one of those?
And also, it's very clearly distinct from British accents, too. I mean, even to an American audience, we couldn't probably tell the difference between a Londoner and a Manchester accent. But it's like Irish from general British is very distinct.
Exactly. The Irish accent, it's just so pleasant to listen to, though, because it has a bit of a power to it. I've been trying to mimic an Irish accent
for so long. It's coming along, absolutely.
It's coming along. I'm getting better at it. I want to... Eventually, I'll write a Shirish character in Fallen Equestria. That's... Mohana and I reckon that the equestrian equivalent of an Irishman is a Shirishman.
Okay.
Because you've got the Shire... horses,
are they still horses, though?
Yes.
Okay.
What? No, he wanted to make them. He wanted to make the bat ponies all Shirish.
Oh, okay. That's interesting and incorrect. All the bat ponies would have Romanian accents. I'm sorry. I gotta lay down some freaking Slavic pride here, baby.
He did it because his OC is a bat pony.
I know. That's fine. That's acceptable to an extent.
But in the same way that, oh my god, this annoys me, that Zikora's accent is Jamaican. Jesus.
It is a wee bit racist. Just a wee bit.
Well, I mean, aside from, I understand that the reason that they went for it is they wanted a really, really distinctive voice for her.
Yeah.
But come on.
Yeah. It's played a bit thick, even by children's show standards. Oh, gosh.
Oh, God. That, also, the rhyming works.
You know what would have been great is if they played, maybe, obviously not season 1, but now, post Bronedom, post, self, what do you call it, self-realization, they might introduce a new zebra character, and then she has this, terrible, Valley Girl accent. That would be hilarious.
I swear to God, that would honestly be the happiest day of my time being a fan of the show, just for the sole fact of them introducing another zebra. Yes, I was happy when they went to Griffin's. I was happy when they went to Griffinstone because it was an interesting place, an interesting backstory to explore. And no, the dragons, I had no desire to explore them further, really. But please, writers of the show, give us the zebra homeland, please. They're so interesting and so mysterious. I mean, please, writers of the show, just give us more. Why is Zikora living in Equestria? Why have we never seen another zebra character? Why is it that she lives in the Everfree Forest? In one of the most inhospitable and magically dangerous places in the world, and she just fucking strolls through it and lives there and makes her tea there and invites a whole bunch of people to come be there, and she's all like, no. If any pony was better than me at magic, I'd be deeply humiliated. What the fuck?
I like to think of it that zebras? It's the low rent part of town. Same as Fluttershy, she has to get an outlying shack because she has too many damn animals, so she can't afford anything else.
I like imagining the sides of the main 6 that we don't get to see.
I know, right?
The practical sides.
Yeah.
Things like getting their homes. Rainbow Dash must clearly be super fucking rich if you see her house.
No, I think she's living on some kind of freaking trust fund from her family. I don't think her job pays her bills. She looks like the
not job
neat type.
No, money, family money. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Friggin' I want to see Fluttershy getting her rent, or the fact that Twilight just arrived in the library. She never. Can we talk about the fact that Twilight basically stole the library?
Yes, absolutely.
The library must have belonged to someone because it had a bed and shit in it already, and she just arrives in the Golden Oaks Library and she's like, "Fuck it, I'm setting up shop here."
No, I like the idea that Celestia sent ahead a couple of guards, and they basically freaking eminent domained this small town library that the feds come in with their freaking armor and spears and everything, and they just forcibly evict some family and take them someplace no one will ever hear from them again. And then she arrives.
I bet it was.
Oh, the library's just for me.
I bet it was Moondance's mother or something Just to give that family more grief.
It's shouldn't that be a villain in the show somewhere? That would be great, honestly. Because it's almost the opposite. You think Rarity would be the upper crust, and she kind of is in terms of taste. But then you look at her parents, and they're totally Midwestern, and she's very much a self-made horse. And then you've got Twilight, who actually is this ridiculously rich Canterlot, government-funded little shit, and then she probably takes the library forcibly from some poor couple who owned it.
I'd love to. So, fanfiction writers, go to your keyboards and write friendship is pragmatism.
Friendship is
just
fiction.
Just on the smaller size that we don't get to see. shit like that, or the fact that okay, so all the other things, like the one that they never tell us the main six's age, and I love trying to figure it out.
We only have a few tidbits, like how Fluttershy is a year older than Pinky, things like that.
Yes, but like we know Fluttershy is a year older than Pinky now, and if we assume that and Rainbow Dash does have, I think she had like 21 or 22 candles on her birthday cake.
Oh, really? Did someone count that?
I counted it.
Okay.
That
makes about sense. I always pictured them as early 20s, yeah.
Well, because she's drinking, and you see her drinking cider, and we're assuming that they go by the American law rather than everywhere else in the world where it's not 21.
Which is really dumb, because nothing in American law says that cider has to be freaking alcoholic either. It's the weirdest. Yeah. That's like, I feel like that's an edgy fan thing that they put on them, the whole drinking anyway.
Yeah, I quite like it.
I digress.
But so, like, if you go by that, I'd like to argue that Rarity and Applejack are the oldest, like 24, 25.
Yeah.
Like, just because of the fact that they're, they have their own businesses. They're probably the most responsible out of them.
I'd agree. Twilight's not responsible. She's just freaking Silver Spoon.
No. I think Pinkie Pie is more responsible than Twilight. Okay. I would leave Rainbow Dash alone with a kid before I left Twilight alone with a kid. I bet, like, no wonder Spike is such a small dragon. I bet Twilight has not been feeding him.
No. I mean, that's another, like, long-running joke in the show, is how badly he is mistreated across the entire series.
But also, it's just like, so you've got the, I'd say, like, what is it, Pinkie? I actually argue that Twilight is the youngest.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Because, I mean, you could argue that she's just graduated from university, like maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
And it's just, so like, you could say she's 21, 22.
At least at the start of the series.
Yeah, Pinkie Pie is, Pinkie Pie takes babysitting jobs. She works as a waitress with the cakes, and she throws a lot of parties. So you could also argue that she's also in that age range of, old enough to work, not old enough to have a real job.
Yeah, she seems like she didn't go to university. She's just been like, she worked at a high school and did all that stuff. And...
Yeah, so she's also probably like in Twilight's age range, and then you've got Fluttershy as just a little bit older than that, like a year older than Pinkie Pie.
Yeah,
and then Rainbow Dash. Where the fuck is Rainbow Dash?
Sleeping, probably.
So she's an athlete, still at the beginning of her game, but because like athletes in general, you like the age range is like what 21 through to 35 or something.
Yeah, pretty much at 40 you're done in any professional sports.
Yeah, like you could argue that I'd say Spitfire's like 38. Like she's coming she's only 2 days away from retirement,
which means she's got to die.
But I'd like to think that Soren is older than Spitfire.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mostly because he looks perpetually tired, like he's like exhausted all the time. Which I really want to know more about why that is, because I feel bad.
I think he's sick.
Yeah, he's
sick.
She's working him to the bone.
She's working his bone.
Well, that's a whole different story, isn't it?
And we'll cover it on the next episode of Confessions of a Wonderbolt.
Oh my gosh.
That was DJ Pony's first show. It was just, oh my god. I bet DJ Pony wrote letters to Penthouse. That's why he That's the whole reason he lives in the penthouse in Ten Pony Tower.
Yeah, he just finally saved up and moved in himself.
Oh my god. So what you need to have is a scene of DJ Pony and Rose Petal together, and then just before you cut to black, you have DJ Pony be like, "It's time for a real penthouse story."
Oh my gosh.
Like just what?
Yeah. It's
and then
yeah, it's interesting. I gotta get back to writing. Period. It's been too busy. It's too fucking busy.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. I get you.
I actually just re-listened to like the ending of episode 6, and I was like, damn it, I'm like halfway done with 7. I just gotta get it done whenever I finish actually, you know, the audio work of episode 5, and then actually the audio work of episode 6 too. So it's like,
shit. I still need to send you the fucking. I still need to send you my lines for episode 6.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is as soon as I finish episode 5, then I'll send out a notification to everyone, be like, "Hey, I need your audio, please."
Like I was meant to send those in October.
Yeah, it's fine. I've been too busy. I haven't had a chance to work on anything writing wise, which has driven me crazy actually. Like in October, I had all this freaking bullshit with this one person I had to deal with, and so that ate up all my free time.
So Mohan is in full swing working on Terminal Sequence episode 4, and I can't tell you what the script is about on the record. But when we finish the podcast, I need to tell you about it just for the audience. Oh my god, the stable is so cool.
All right, sounds good.
It's probably going to be the most absurd stable of the entire run, and that's saying something. But oh my god, I'm so excited for it.
Sweet, no, I'm excited.
You guys are really in love. We're gonna try to get that one out in February or March.
Yeah.
But oh my god, no, that's gonna be freaking fantastic. I'm so excited for you guys to see that specific stable.
Yeah, so it should be fun.
Okay, I think we should probably look at closing off now.
I think so. I'm pretty much out of energy.
Yeah, ditto. So, farewell, people on the podcast. Remember to send in auditions for your for Ditsy Do if you're interested. And artists, please, especially if you are good at drawing backgrounds, or if you can do props for us. Things like microphones and so on, that would just be really, really friggin' helpful. Just drop us a message and we will sort that out soon.
Yeah, that would definitely help out.
And farewell!
Alrighty, bye-bye, everyone.